Okay. Hello, everyone. Hopefully, my voice is audible with all the background noise and the music playing. This is again another, coffee shop Wi-Fi episode. I wanted to speak about something that I recently experienced, and I didn't know what to make of it. And then I came into this conclusion. How would I say it? In this episode, I am claiming that somehow I experienced a vision of what I consider to be this angelic archetype, the Oraphim. And if I'm not audible, please let me know. So I gotta read for the viewers something, and then I'll get into what my experience of it was and why I'm even bringing this up, okay? Something happened to me today, an experience, call it an inner experience, a sort of vision. That this vision made me realize something that was a mystery for me. So, anyways. I think this is one of those no music episodes, maybe. I'll read something for the viewers. This is important. What are the Sorry guys, I'm mispronouncing it. I mean, I spelled it here. Ophanim. Okay, I'm gonna make this a quick episode. Let's just get the ideas out there and drive off. Okay. So, I'm gonna explain to the viewers what Ophanim is. I don't know why I was under the impression it's called Oraphim, but it's Ophanim and it's an angel. And people are like, is Mr.Within talking about angels? And it's like, I gotta represent myself. Okay. It's taking me an hour to find this to read for the... Okay. Who are the Ophanim in the Bible? And yeah, that's pretty much it. So the article says the Bible is full of brilliant imagery. Through His holy word, God gives us a glimpse into a realm where human eyes rarely gain access. When we dive into Scripture, hungry to know more about... Okay, this is... Here. In 597 BC, I can't pronounce this, Jehoiachin, king of Judah, a priest named Ezekiel, and 10,000 Jews were captured by invading Babylonians and brought to a village called Tel Aviv. 5 years into their exile, God approaches Ezekiel near a river in Chebar, modern-day Iraq, and inaugurates him for prophetic ministry by showing him an extraordinary vision. The Ophanim described in Ezekiel's vision are impossible to define apart from the full scope of the revelation. In Ezekiel 1, we find a young priest on the precipice of his new calling. As part of God's great plan to call Israel to repentance, he chooses to open the heavens before Ezekiel's temporal eyes. Ezekiel sees an ominous, fiery, lightning cloud waft toward him from the north. 4 illuminated beings blaze brightly within the cloud. Although the beings resemble the form of man, they are far from mortal. Each has 4 faces, 1 human, 1 lion, 1 ox, and 1 eagle. They're completely covered with eyes from top of their heads to the tips of their glowing calf-like feet. Their human-shaped hands tuck inside each of their 4 wings. One set of wings stretches outwards to connect with the wings of their counterparts, while the other set shrouds their own bodies. Okay, so there's a different account of this. Here, I'll show the viewers a picture. Here. If people look at the desktop, okay, there's a hierarchy of angels in the Bible, I believe. Hierarchy of angels. Yeah, there's ranks, right? So, okay, here we go. I gotta apologize to the viewers. I'm trying to find this. I had seen a previous video. This concept of the Ophanim, or Oraphim, I thought it was, but Ophanim. Couple years ago, I'm a cigarette smoker. I remember I quit cigarettes, and it'd been like couple months, and I was lying down one day in the morning on my bed, and early in the morning, somebody called me. Early in the morning, I suddenly feel like something is above my house. I don't know how to say it. Imagine you're on your bed, and you feel like there's some sort of presence, some sort of phenomena going on above you. Okay, so in that instance, that was the first time this concept of the Ophanim kind of came to me. In the religious hierarchy, it's pretty much depicted as like this next level, to some terrifying angel, where it's like these wheels with eyes on them. Okay, and for the longest time, I was like, okay, what is this? How come in angelology they have this sort of thing? Like all the angels are like these cute little kind of like human forms with different types of wings. I think the classes are like it goes 2, 4, 6. So similarly, here's another picture. I think this picture is way better. So this picture, okay, this picture you see with the eyes and the wheel and the wings, ever since I saw this has been one of those, what's the term? This has been one of those mysteries for me where I have been like, WTF, why? Well, how does this make sense? How is this some sort of clue towards some sort of idea? And I'm proud to say today, I came to a conclusion of, I saw this picture, and I saw this not as a wheel of some chariot, as it's depicted here by Ezekiel in Ezekiel's vision, but for me, what I experienced was, how do I say it? I saw a glimpse. I mean, I'm saying this too casually, but Think of it this way. My mind entertained a vision of this exact picture, but this exact picture is what this Ophanim, what this angel is how in the future human beings will have such an awareness to how they are being. It's an era of collective mindhood. This is an collective minded angel. So, I gave a talk recently and I called it, what did I call it? Humanity is the angel of the future. Somehow my mind saw very far ahead, just like a vision, and I saw this sort of, think of it, this glowing sphere, not glowing, but like this orange, semi-glowing, semi-transparent sphere, and everything in that sphere was just consciousness and sight. Was just conscious sight. You see, right now we have bodies and we're moving around in the world. The whole focus of our reality is based on our individual position, the physical body, and a relationship with movement, stillness, and individualism and collectivism. For me, what I envisioned is that in the future, our awareness and the responsibility level of intelligence will get so high, that it will, in some sense, how would I say it? Pretty much the Ophanim is how in the future beings have been living in a collective mind to such a degree that they don't need bodies and they have become spheres. So imagine right now 8 billion creatures on a sphere. Imagine we become a sphere, but not something of a physical nature. You see, right now it's kind of like the turn. Imagine we're multidimensional beings, and right now we have, it's our turn to, let's say, experience the individualism. How would I say this? I mean, pretty much main statement for this episode. A new explanation on the Ophanim. Oh my God. Probably should stop the windshield. So, what I'm trying to say, dear viewers, is that every person has to, of course, be conscious. Aristotle says it's the sign of an educated mind to entertain an idea without accepting it. The beautiful thing about knowledge is that once you know how far we've come to some degree, the person becomes their own explorer and goes after their own experiences. Something I've personally realized is that when I was younger, the experiences of others fascinated me more than the experience of myself, of being myself. 30 laps around the sun. Now the mystery is not so much out there, but it's more within. You see, if somebody wonders why is the world here, causally, if we entertain an infinite regress argument, or I think it was called Kalam's argument. Think of it this way, or I don't think it's Kalam's argument, but pretty much let's say we have this argument. Just a second. Okay. Jesus Christ. It's raining, laptop's half wet. Okay. there's this sort of view when it comes to the infinite regress, where just like you have lines of code for a program, you have lines of reasoning and, let's say, a sort of logical argumentation when it comes to philosophy. Now, there is this idea that if the cause of something is either nothing, is either itself, or it's another. You know, when it comes to the notion of causality, necessary causation, people are like, okay, and nothing cannot cause anything because nothing is made of nothing. If it was to cause something, that would also be nothing. The cause cannot be by itself because the being does not exist before it exists, you know? I am not explaining this as well as I'd like to. Think of it this way, people are wondering about cause and effect. Right now we're in effect and we're like, okay, it's contingent to a previous cause, right? So that means something before me caused me, something before that, which caused me, caused that, and then it goes towards an infinite regress. But the infinite regress doesn't make sense, and so the argument kind of comes to this point where there had to be an uncreated beginning, which is the notion of the necessary existent, the first cause. It was not caused in some sense. Another view of it, let me just simplify this for myself. Hold on, guys. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. I found it. So this is not from Kalam, it's Duns Scotus, the influential medieval Christian theologian created a metaphysical argument for the existence of God. Though it was inspired by Aquinas, Aquinas' argument from motion, he, like other philosophers and theologians, believed that his statement for God's existence could be considered separate to Aquinas. His explanation for God's existence is long and can be summarized as follows. So, when it comes to Thomas Aquinas, I mean, it's the cosmological argument. It's pretty much like something had to move everything. So it's the notion of the first movement. Now, Duns Scotus says this is his argument for a sort of metaphysical, a metaphysical argument for the existence of God. So it follows 10 points. He says something can be produced. Let me see if I could copy paste this for the viewers. No. Okay. So this is the metaphysical argument. It says, 1. Something can be produced. 2. It is produced by itself, by nothing, or by another. 3. Not by nothing, because nothing causes nothing. 4. Not by itself, because an effect never causes itself. Therefore, by another. And let's call that another A. So here it says, therefore, by another A. Now, it goes back through the same filter. So it says, if A is first, then we have reached the conclusion. If A is not the first cause, then we return to 2, which it is produced by itself, by nothing, or by another. So the whole thing's repeating. If A is not first, then we return to 2. From 3 and 4, we produce another B. The ascending series is either infinite or finite. An infinite series is not possible, therefore God exists. Okay? So it's another way of saying, like, I wanted to talk about a causal loop, but I'm trying to build up to it, to the notion of the predestination paradox, because to me, that has a very important parallel to this concept of the Ophanim. Pretty much the argument is something can't be produced by itself because it's an effect. An effect can't produce a cause. And this is where the causal loop, remember this first point. And then it says, okay, so something's produced, but can it be produced by nothing? No, nothing has no content. No content cannot create content. So the answer goes that it's by another. Now, if we repeat this same cycle, it ends up becoming infinite, like another reason. So we have to make the considerate conclusion that could it be like an infinite, it's pretty much saying, like, because infinity doesn't exist, God is the original mover. That's what it means. Now, the predestination paradox is going to blow people's minds. One of the most fascinating ideas I've come across recently. So, for the predestination paradox, it's a way to counter the argument of causation and the argument that something cannot create itself. So I'm going to explain to the viewers a concept right now. Some people call it the predestination paradox, but it's also called a causal loop. This is very important, and it's, I think, one of the most beautiful ideas a human being can come across. So, what is a causal loop? I'm going to share a picture with the viewers. So, I need the viewers to look at the screen. And I think it's going to excite the viewers how I'm going to connect the dots here. So, if you look at this picture where you see this 8 ball, and then you see 3 different times. So what is a causal loop? What is the predestination paradox? One of the most fascinating ideas, it's the notion that what if we could have, in some sense, time travel, right? So it would be this idea that, imagine the 8 ball is at 12, and then let's say the handle is at 12, then the handle goes to 1, the ball has a forward straight trajectory, and then the handle goes to 3, goes to 2, and then what I'm trying to say is, it's kind of like, imagine somebody doesn't have a time travel machine. They create a time travel machine, they go back before they made a decision, and they change that decision, therefore changing their own cause. Right? So the causal loop is another way of saying an effect goes back in time to create a cause for itself, to change its reality. Now, how does the causal loop, how am I drawing parallels from the causal loop? Oh my God. Sorry guys, the rain is hitting the laptop and it's scary. So what are the parallels between these? This might be something that, I don't know, probably has never been heard before. I am going based on this argument, but based on just a bunch of views, inner realm events. And I'm saying to myself, right, that I'm this person who has this view that prophets from religions are, like, religions to me seem to be behaving in the same way that if a time traveler came back and wanted to change reality, like, that's how it would do it. Do you know? So to me, religion is very profound because it is one of the earliest texts that is claiming the future to some degree. Okay? Now, I mean, there's many texts, but anyways, so the whole idea is, I'm envisioning that we are individual human beings now. Give it a couple thousand years or 100 years, I don't know. I think it's 1,000, 3,600 specifically, but that's my just personal inclination, right? There's what the idea is that at some point human beings will surpass their individual existence into a collective experience. So how is it that there could be angelic intervention, and how could there in some sense be a person knowing something from the future before it happens? Okay, so my argument is, my view is that, how would I say it? We are right now 8 billion individuals in time. In the future, if there is another line of a metaphysical evolution going on or something like that, right? It's like I'm saying, in the future, we're going to be a timeless collective being. That timeless collective being can intervene at any point in time. Human beings, God is, in some sense, has imbued everybody with a spirit and in some with a soul, and then God is watching every being as if the soul is a part of God or a spark of God, or however religions are acknowledging it. They usually acknowledge it as the secret of God. Hence why, magic was seen as blasphemy. But what I'm trying to say is, if this species is individual now, and in a couple thousand years becomes this collective being, non-physical being beyond time, that means individual in time, in the future, timeless collective being. Now, this timeless collective being would be a suggestion of flying, of wings, of wheels, and of eyes. Okay? Which is another way of saying sight all around. Right? So how would I say it? I'm pretty much saying that if in our future, the future of our species is a collective timeless being, this collective timeless oversoul or being has an ability to use the causal loop to go back in time and change its effect. To me, religions are signs of civilizations ahead of us, which are not people. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, and what Mr.Within's explanation of the Ophanim, or the way I am viewing it now in this episode as I'm mentioning it, the way I'm seeing the Ophanim is the collective, it's the collective mind that to us is a future, to itself is timeless. Okay? So that's pretty much the fruit of this episode. I mean, the essence of it was, I saw this. I was lying down on my bed. I wasn't asleep. I was just, those moments where your head's on the pillow and you're like, why am I not sleeping yet? And thoughts are just going. You're watching like imagine you're in bed and you're watching your last thoughts in your inner realms, like end credits to the movie of the day. Oh man. this thing about the infinite regress, there's some things about it that I'm still, researching and studying a bit more on it, but pretty much the idea, I think the two major concluding ideas is that the cause of this world, like this, the original cause, is not in this world or of this dimension or explainable by the effects. That's one view. That means the origin of human intelligence is not this world or not this dimension. Okay? Which then, in that sense, I can't say not this world, but not this dimension. Okay? Where was I going? Oh yeah, and the other approach is that instead of us as a species just zooming in on like, okay, what caused this specific thing, we rather see the whole world as an interconnected presence, right, where we cannot specify or specifically isolate causes and effects, right? Maybe in the human life we can. Somebody's elbow hits a vase, the vase hits the ground, breaks, like, okay, cause effect, right? But that person, like, who put the vase there? Why was gravity there? Why was there even a world there for a vase to break? You see, so it's from one angle, the person's head is in a box and they're trying to think of a singular line of cause and effect. From another angle, they're like, holy shit, everything's happening as everything all the time. Do you know? And so it is our choice as a collective event. This universe is a singular event, right? And it comes across as a singular event, not just because we're an individual being, because with all the new dimensions you would find, as long as there is memory, all those dimensions are compiled. They're collected. It's like drops into a bowl of water, right? Those drops aren't separate anymore, right? Or imagine it's raining in an ocean, right? That's really what it is, right? From a vertical dimension, we're like these, raindrops falling from the unknown heavens. We're like, why God? Why world? Why laws of physics? Why are you doing this to me? Why evolution have I come to be this? And then the person realizes the whole system is important, One of the biggest challenges of my life personally has been that I don't want to say I've struggled, but I have constantly tried to find the balance of, okay, how much should I be a body in the moment? How much should I be a mind? And now somebody could be like, Mr. Within, how's that even a question? Do you think about it, like voluntarily or not? And I'll tell you, there are two different types of movements. Like right now as I'm speaking, like at most maybe my hands are moving and my lips are, of course, moving. Like my facial gestures and whatever. And my eyes when I speak. Like when I speak, I don't know if people have noticed this, but our inner realms are so profound and they're projected like a couple meters in front of us that when a person speaks and they're trying to remember something, they actually look, their eyes take the angle of that memory. Okay? Or where that memory is present. But where was I going with this? So there was something else I wanted to say, but the elegance in my speech distracted me. Honestly, dear viewers, dear human beings, dear conscious creatures in this universal sector, what seems to be the game of reality, of manifest reality, is that it provides an energetic potential to activate. What the meaning of life is that you are something, you are somewhere, and you can do something through your being. I always have this feeling that, I don't know why, but like I haven't died, but to me death feels like stepping onto a boat, It feels like somebody, going into a completely different space where their value system changes. I mean, if consciousness has any sort of continuity, the biggest question about the afterlife could be, like, in some sense, if there is an afterlife, is there memory? From the religious angle, there is, because the person is being, in the Abrahamic traditions, judged, right? So in the Abrahamic traditions, like in Buddhism, yoga, they believe in reincarnation. They have a much more complex and multidimensional view on truth, right? But when it comes to monotheism, it's pretty much, you can't touch truth, but you have to in religion, right? Religion is something that ultimately, it's the relationship of language with man's mind. Really, what creatures are we receive information, we modify, we process the information, and our communication is processed information. Pretty much, it's processed, like, pretty much anybody who talks about anything, they're kind of like filtering what they are seeing through what they are, So anyways, this episode was for the first time, I had, this is one of those episodes where for the first time I'm sharing, like, an angelic experience. Usually, like, I have reached the point where my inner realms don't need to be shaped. What that means is there's random moments throughout the day where I just stop and there is no thought, nothing, and I bow to the moment. Like, I do that. I don't know if others do that, but there's moments where there is no thought. It's more like, think of it this way: if thoughts create doubt, the most advanced states, imagine a person is being at such a fast-paced, like, imagine you're being so fast that you cannot see yourself change. So you technically can't see yourself. It could be this argument that what the soul is a self too fast for form. In the future, there is a potential that we may experience a collective humanity. These talks that I'm giving, if I was alive, let's say 400 years from now, people could go in these talks. Like, I could probably live stream my mind, my imagination, so people won't just hear what I'm saying, they could actually see what I'm seeing before I say it. So, before I end off, is there anything I can help the viewers with? I'm going to start doing this. I'm just going to ask. So it's Q&A for a couple minutes, guys. Anybody wants to bring up anything, say something. Oh my God. Oh, one more important thing about the idea of angels. Is that the archetype of the angel follows the divine will. So technically the Ophanim is the divine will. So it's another way of saying the God in the future caused us now. But the God in the future is how all of us are when there are no bodies. Doesn't mean there isn't sight and experience, but there is no body. Like, there are disembodied states, there are dehumanized states, there are dehumanized moments. Sometimes there's energies in the room. Like some places I go, I can feel like as if there's remnants of behavior in the room. You know. To me, it's anybody who's interested in any sort of philosophical, matter. This is Mr. Within's recommendation for anybody who wants to somehow, let's say, go towards a sort of metaphysical purity. So the idea is, anytime the mind is a communication receiving entity, okay? Our brains are here not to create communication, but to reveal communication, okay? And sometimes the communication may not be from us. Different people, I mean, throughout the years, I've kind of, these are my own tips and tricks to the moment, to just things I've experienced. I mean, I shouldn't say even tips and tricks, just tips, okay? For example, if somebody, I'm someone who at this point now in my life, I can notice my inner realms. I know my own pace of thought, my own speed of thought. If suddenly the thoughts in my inner realms are moving faster than I usually think, then I know, okay, something's up in the moment, right? And another way is, the less you do, the more you can see what else is moving in the moment, right? That's the whole point of meditation, which a lot of people miss. People think meditation is you're sitting there to do something. Like, that's so freaking foolish, right? You're sitting there to watch how you're being before you do anything. That's the truth about meditation. And if you, after some point, the meditation doesn't even have anything to do with posture, just there will come moments where the being is just signaled and you'll just sit down and sit still and the inner realms move and you watch it. Okay? We have been watching our minds our whole life, by the way. When I talk about inner realms, it's not like I'm like some special person. Okay? We all have an incredibly sophisticated ability and advanced ways of being to ourselves internally, and then externalizing these ways of being, right? Somebody in the chat section says, oh, how cool that would be to see your thoughts. I mean, I wouldn't say it'd be cool to see all of them. Depends where I am, actually. Can you imagine if people looked into my inner realms and they're like, Mr. Within, there's nothing here. Oh man. I have this vision all the time. Not vision, but I have this feeling all the time that anything I do, there can be anything I do, there can be people or beings who can do it better. I don't know why, but since childhood I've had this feeling. And in certain things that I've, like when I draw a type of art that I haven't seen anybody else draw in the same way. But I still have this feeling that there is another way that what I'm doing can be done in a better way. And sometimes I ask myself, why is there all this space in existence? I think this is an incredible question to ask, right? Why is there space for existence? And how is it that we can't see space, but we're acknowledging its existence? Do you see how bizarre it is? Reality is strange, I think what normality is what normality is a brochure or a catalog to make the people, normality is a blindfold. A lot of human experience is boxed in accordance to its own memories and memories and experiences, right? The coolest thing, though, is that there's 8 billion of us. That means somebody's gonna figure it out. There was a time, where I had a, playful dialogue with my inner realms, right? With my mind's movement. And I remember I was like, if I don't give these talks on the advanced civilization, like, what will happen? How will I feel? Am I that guy who's meant to, like, talk about this stuff and all of this, right? And then I realized that it doesn't matter. That if something is required, what was it? There was this quote from this anime character called Goku, where he says, power comes when there is a need, not a desire. Something in these lines, right? And I feel that my ability in this moment is not just because of who I am, but it is because of what the moment needs. I think this is the advanced state of being, where the person is so selfish that they have to become selfless, because there's nothing else left after the ultimate selfishness. You see? If this world was not changing, for how long could people be like photographs and statues? You know what I'm saying? Like, the purpose of life is that it's a performance. It's like we are eternity's temporal performance. Eternity's temporal performance. Yeah, that's a good title for a talk too. It's, after some point in mysticism, the person just gets to a point where they notice their limits. When you notice your limits, you can do pretty much two things. You can unconsciously react, or you can consciously accept. Anytime any being can accept what they are being, usually, spiritual experiences just find you. And the biggest spiritual experience, this is what I have experienced, is that you will realize, whoever you are listening to me, and it's not just, us, it's everybody on this planet, there will come a time, well, they will realize what is looking through their eyes is unknown. And the edge of the world obviously is unknown. So we are living in a world where we are unknown, the world is unknown. Just in an unknown world, we're trying to pass the time by creating knowledge that explains everything. Sometimes, I've thought, why don't, if there were extraterrestrials, like, why don't they contact Earth? And I realized, because we're such silly creatures. Like, we're like the Charlie Chaplin of an interstellar audience. Do you know what I mean? The species is just, stumbling its way towards some sort of inkling of a clarity of hope. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. Episode went 49 minutes, Sometimes we may come to a moment when we really don't know what to do. And what nature has done is given us an opportunity to respond in accordance to what we consider ourselves to be. So this life, for, let's say, human beings and all the unborn children of the future, you will open your eyes, you will access, let's say, a reality template, you will access landscape, content. You will most likely, in the early years of life, be pulled or pushed by, what do you call it? the river, the current, the wind of life, right? So life is kind of like, the child doesn't know how to walk, it falls down, then it's like, okay, I got a hang of this, and then it starts running, I mean, that would be scary if a child falls down and then it gets up and then starts running like an athlete, And we have to realize we're in this world to also meet ourselves for the first time. Every time I give these talks, every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, another day of seeing what I am. Yeah. So anyways, thanks for listening, guys. If there's people who've been listening to this episode and you feel there's certain ideas I've missed about the Ophanim, or I don't know, the angelic hierarchy and whatnot, or you feel there's any important ideas you can share, feel free to share them in the comment section. And what's the go-to? Comment, like, subscribe, share, do whatever you can. And of course, in this lifetime, in 2022, we are very blessed to be capable of not just acknowledging our species, but having the ability to love it. If we look at nature, I gotta say this before I end, we look at many different animals. I mean, sure, lions have their pride, wolves have their pack, fish have their schools, and all these creatures move together, right? But if we were to look at intelligent creatures moving together, our species has the greatest and fastest ability of a creature to recognize its collective value. I am saying we are the only creatures on Earth who can acknowledge and advance collective humanity, an advanced effort of the species. That is the blessing of our additional dimensions of sight. Where when we look at the lesser species, we're like, somebody, wake them up. So anyways, thanks guys. Rise mankind, rise. Namaste.